Okay, I'm back just checking the milk again, and we're just over 190, it looks like here. So getting close to almost to 200. It is definitely time to go ahead and get this milk off the heat and over to the sink so we can get some cool water on it and get it down to our temperature for mixing in the yogurt. So take a break here. Okay, I've got the moved the steamer over next to the sink. It's too big to actually fit down into the sink, so I have it on a little Corning hot plate thing there, whatever it is. And I did not record this because it's kind of tricky getting that stainless steel stock pot out of the steamer and over to the sink, and plus it's dealing with some pretty hot liquid, so I couldn't juggle the camera and the pot at the same time. So we got it into the sink. We can look inside. Got some nice foamy looking milk in there. Those, if you ever opened up a container of yogurt and noticed little bubbles on the surface, this is where they start actually, because that typically yogurt is cultured right in the container that you buy it in the store in. So anyway, I've got this in the sink. I'm gonna swing this around so I don't get any water into the stock pot. I'm going to turn on some cool water. Hopefully I've got a good seal on my drain stopper underneath. And I'm going to put some water in here, and going to get a little bit of ice in just a moment. And then I'm going to stir with the thermometer for a few minutes and to get the temperature down to the point I want it. And then I'm going to pull it out of this sink and move it over to the other, get it out of the ice water bath. So. Okay, I've got some water in around the stock pot. I'm going to add a little bit of ice, and I have a little friend here. Miss Sally is on my case. It's 7:30 p.m. at this point, and she is right on my tail because her dinner time is 6 p.m. She knows exactly when it's 6 p.m. and is in Daddy's face, nagging him until she is fed. She does not like waiting for dinner. So anyway, back to work. She'll wait. She'll get over it. So I'm just going to put some ice down around this. So help speed it up. You have to be careful though with the ice. You start getting ice in here because temperature will drop quickly, and you don't want to go really. Don't want to go below 120. Really, it'd be good if you kept it up to about 125. If it's when you're stirring it well. Because you get down too low and then you've got to heat back up once you get it into the incubator to that kind of temperature range where the culture can grow. Otherwise it will go, I guess, dormant if it gets much below about 120. Maybe 115 is probably the bottom end of that range. So anyway, so we've got this cooling. Let's see where we are temperature-wise. I've been keeping this on the counter surface up like this, the thermometer. I don't want to lay this down and touch anything on the tip of this. Still just real aware of our sanitary practice here. And where are we? We are about looks like we're going to hit about 170. So I'll just kind of give it a little whirl here to see where we are, because surely by now it's, see, it dropped a little bit more. So we're come down 30 degrees so far, and so we want to get down, like I said earlier, probably get down to about 125, and then we'll start incorporating the culture. So okay, we'll give it a few more minutes here. So I got a little bit too much water in here initially, and the water itself had gotten warm. It absorbed the heat from the milk. So I just lifted that pot out of the sink and drained out some of the warm water. I put a little more ice in, and keep this bath cool. Just one note here to be aware of is that whatever you're moving ice in or water into the sink while you're doing the bath, it's a good idea. I like to keep the lid on just to avoid splashing anything in. If I splash this tap water out of the sink was clean, but still I would be a little worried about splashing any of this water into the milk, or dropping ice in here and having it splash over, or having any water coming out of the tap getting into the milk itself. All this work we have done so far to be real careful about keeping the milk sanitary would just kind of be blown in one mistake there. So kind of a critical stage as far as making sure everything is nice and clean. Okay, we are approaching, we are on 140 at this point. I am stirring a little bit just with the thermometer. I could actually grab one of those spoons I sterilized earlier and do this, but this is probably sufficient. If I'm not holding the camera or the phone with my other hand, I'd kind of swirl the water around a bit in the sink to. You can definitely feel some gradient of the heat. It's just the top 2 inches are warm at this point, and then there's definitely cooler water underneath that. So kind of keep both sides of the inside and the outside of the stock pot have the fluids moving around so that it transfers the heat a little bit faster. Okay, we are right on target here. We're just down to under 130. So a little more stirring here. I have pulled the milk out of the ice bath. You can see all of our ice is gone at this point. And that water is cool, but not cold anymore. So I think we are ready to start incorporating our live culture. So I'm going to get the yogurt out of the fridge and be right back. Okay, I'm back. We have a new unopened container of the Maple Hill cream top plain yogurt. Always use plain yogurt. You don't really need to be or really want to be putting flavors and sweeteners into using as culture. You want to use plain yogurt. So we want to get this thing opened here. Kind of tricky doing this one-handed. Oh, and you can see the fat on the top there, the milk fat or the cream top. Oh, I want to lick that off right there, but I won't. I'll do it later. Pull that off, that baby there. All right, we'll place that on the counter. Okay, I'm going to move this over. This Maple Hill is liquid enough I could pour it. If I'd used Nancy, I would probably need to spoon it out. Nancy's is a little bit thicker, but you can see this yogurt is not like that so much. So I'm going to go ahead and just pour the whole container in. Probably don't need to use that much, but it's all going to go into yogurt anyway, so it doesn't. I'm not wasting it or overdoing it. So now we'll double check once again our temperature over here on the milk. We don't want to put really hot milk into that culture. We don't want to keep as much of it alive as possible. And we are good. We are good. We are like right at 120. So we are right on with this. So I'm going to just take my little stainless measure cup here with the handle on it. I'm going to scoop in here, and I'm going to start with a small amount, just to kind of incorporate that. Placing this, like I said earlier, this is something that we dip into the milk, so we do not want to place this on the counter. That's what these plates are for. And place that on the plate. And I'm going to use my little whisk here to kind of mix that milk into the yogurt and knock out as many of the lumps in this as we can. Add a little bit more. This is the first time I've used Maple Hill as a culture for making yogurt. So it actually was working very well. It's very, very smooth. It's not getting lumped up at all. And we really can't add any more. I don't think we need to. I think we've got a pretty good mixture here. And that is done. I'm going to place this back on my plate. And then we're just going to pour this directly into the milk. And then, so we're mixing our culture with our heated milk. And that is done. Some little goodies in there to eat afterward. Along with my lid that I'm going to lick and the container. And look at there, you can actually see it looks like butter floating on top. This since it was pretty liquefied, it should disperse fairly well. I'm going to stir it a good bit here to get it going. All right, and we should have good culture throughout now. So next we're going to get some containers going, and we'll start moving the milk with culture in it over into our containers to move into the incubator. Okay, I've got all my containers moved over now to over to the counter next to the sink, and you can see we've got our milk down here in our stock pot. I've shaken out the water in most of these containers. Also, just reminder here is that when we're handling these containers, we do have a clean surface on the interior. We do not want to put our thumb in or fingers in it to pick up. We want to hold it from the side. And same thing with our measuring cup here. I'm using this little handled one. Dip that in, and simply going to come over here and start filling our containers. And so this will take a little while. A little bit messy. Kind of spill it on the counter, and it'll probably run off the side, and the dogs will lick it up. That's fine. So this will take about 10 minutes to fill all these, and then we'll move them over to the incubator, and we're just about done. So we have about half our containers filled at this point. You can see we're knocking off the top of that pot of milk. I'm going to go ahead and get some lids on these. Because you're going to start. And you need to be careful too with handling the lids. You don't want to put your fingers on the inside, so you want to hold them by the edges if possible. So we want to go ahead and start closing these up, and because we're losing heat still, and we're at the 120 point, so we want to keep it at about 120 or so. Don't want it to drop any lower if possible. And then we're going to get this first half into the igloo cooler so that we can not lose too much heat here. And we've got about half of the batch in containers and into the cooler at this point, or the incubator. You can see I've placed the lamp inside, so we're going to turn that on in a minute once we get the rest of the yogurt loaded up. But I'm going to go ahead and just close the lid for now on this, and we'll go ahead and fill the rest of the containers. Okay, we've got the last of our containers filled. We need to get the lids on there. This is what I was kind of waiting to see how the situation was down inside the stock pot. You can see there is some milk that is kind of scalded or cooked onto the bottom. You can definitely see the kind of rectangular outline of that silicone pot holder. Cannot say pot holder today, but it's not too bad. I'm going to just look down in here and see, like, it's not like dark brown burnt or anything. It did get a little cooked on the edges, but we shouldn't have any problem with that. It shouldn't be too bad cleaning up. So anyway, we're just about there. Okay, we are all loaded up in our incubator. We've got our light in there, our lamp for our heat source, and our containers arranged. We're stacking 2 tall here, and just counted, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 14 32-ounce containers, which is about right. We used 3, should be about 4 of these containers per gallon of milk, and then we also added in another 32 ounces of culture from the Maple Hill cream top plain, and so we probably could have actually gotten this into 13, but I didn't fill all the way to the top edge just to make it a little bit neater. I'll get the light plugged in, and we'll be about ready to close her up. Okay, I've got my cord plugged in, lights in place. You can see I've got a little bit of space around the fixture. I don't want the containers. Go away, Miss Sally. Go away. Don't need any of this. Don't want this sitting right up next to the containers. That container would get too hot, might kill the yogurt. Just try to space all of this so that they're not pushed up against the edges. There's a little space all around them, and so that there can be a movement of air, some convection in here. And then so I'm going to go ahead and turn it on and close it up. So I'm trying not to blast everybody with the light, but there we go. So we'll go ahead and just shut it up, and it should be good. I'm going to probably put a towel or two over this because the cord is kind of keeping the lid from closing good. I'll probably tape some of this too. Now we are all set. I'm going to slide this slightly out of the way so it doesn't get bumped. So we're all set to go. We've got about 8 hours now before we have yogurt, and it's 8 p.m. my time, so I'm going to have a late night tonight. I got started much later than I planned to today. I guess I can turn off the fan here.